Well, greetings and welcome. I am Dr. Crispin Diabamo, and on this channel we talk about IMGs. And so, if you're brand new here, please I urge you to hit the subscribe button and push the notification bell, and also to share this video as this is very insightful for IMGs who find themselves abroad and they might be lost or a little bit confused. They don't know what to do. This is really quite important, and thank you so much for doing that. You're the best. Here we will talk a little bit about IMGs based in Asia. So, an IMG stands for International Medical Graduate. An international medical graduate is someone who graduated from another country, from a medical school in another country. So it could be a physician, it could be a nurse, or someone in the medical field, paramedical. So you graduated from a school that has a regulatory system. And then you move abroad. You move to another country where, since the medical field is hugely a regulated field, you need some kind of license in order to be able to practice. So you moved abroad and then you find yourself an IMG, so International Medical Graduate. Specifically, I'm going to talk for the case of Japan. We know Japan it's in Asia, it's in Asia Pacific, and it's hugely developed country. So, and in Japan, the major and the first language is Japanese, which is what is widely used in a lot of activities or in the hospitals around basically everything. So, particularly for me, why I moved to Japan. Well, let's say I moved here as a scholar. Where I schooled at in Nagasaki University, and I majored in tropical medicine, infectious diseases. So I studied that at university for kind of a specialized clinical master degree, in clinical practice. And I did a lot of research work. So I worked at San Lazaro Hospital in the Philippines as a researcher, and as a clinician, doing the rounds with the local doctors. And I moved here because I had this scholarship and this sponsorship from the Japanese government for me to do this research work at university in Nagasaki, which is the referral university in Japan for infectious disease and tropical medicine, which is, it was very good. So I could find my way into that. Being from a different part of the world and not being really Asian, it could quite be hard and challenging for a lot of people. And at the same time, it could be pretty easy and simple if you consider it in a different way. So I think the thing is just look at what you want and how you want it, and look at the challenges that you might have alongside, and then just try and look for ways to mitigate it. So I've been in Japan for 4 years, and say that it's been a fruitful 4 years as an IMG. Definitely it's not easy to integrate because I'm gonna tell you let me say two major aspects of being in Japan as an IMG. So number one thing is that of course every medical school or every country has a regulatory system for their doctors or clinicians or researchers or nurses, or you need to get a license, you need to get some kind of permit in order to try to work. It's the same thing in Japan, right? So when I first came to Japan, I took the research part way because for a researcher, if you have a pretty, let's say, good background, or you're really willing to learn and you can find you a professor or a mentor, then you're really good to go, because then you can easily get integrated into the system, and then you can hold a research assistant position, and from there you can easily force your way up. But the three things I'm saying is number one, you need the Japanese language. Oh boy, It's very indispensable. You cannot go around it. It's impossible, right? So you need to learn the Japanese language. It's very important. And my advice to y'all is that, I know there is coronavirus and it's quite hard for people to go around now, but pay you a ticket, get on that plane, come here and try to learn the language. It's very important because then you interact with the locals. It's 99% in Japanese. You can meet the people firsthand. You can learn a lot of things about the culture. There's a lot of things about Japanese culture that we cannot really understand unless we live in the country. But the country is an amazing and a fascinating country. When you read all the mangas and what you see on TV, that is what it is. For real though, it is what it is. So I urge you to come here and to learn the language, because that's point number one. The medical system is done in Japanese. The licensing exams is done in Japanese. So I had a couple of friends who, they studied in India or other countries, and they came here, they studied the language, or somehow in middle school or high school they had the opportunity and they moved here and they learned the language, and so they could learn medicine. The medical system is quite Japan oriented, so if you come over here, you should master the language. All right. And number two is that the system is kind of 6 years for the medical training, just like back home, back in the US. And also after that you got to do housemanship, which is some kind of 2 years. You spend around in the hospital, learning the basics and getting more interactions with the patients. Is quite important you do that. And then number three is that after that you get directly into residency, so you choose a specialty. Of course there's an exams you write, but generally in Japan they don't have 3 steps exams like the USMLE step 1, step 2, CK or practice, and then step 3. No, they don't have those. Or like in other countries where you go through maybe Canada QE1 and then Nakoski, or I don't know, PLAP 1 and PLAP 2, they just have 1 exams and then you're going for an RRs. But it's usually a very tedious exams, and I'm not going to talk about that within that. That's going to be a subject for a whole nother video. But then today's video was basically just to let you know that there is a system. IMGs could find their way into the medical system in Japan. It's quite hard, but it's possible. So I'm gonna share more in a subsequent video, but thank you so much for tuning in. Please share, subscribe, and I'm see you in the next video. Up till then, please stay safe and enjoy.